Today we are going to look at the 2016 film Split. It stars James McAvoy as Kevin, a man with 23 different personalities. He kidnaps 3 teenage girls, Casey, Claire, and Bendane, played by Anya Taylor-Joy, Haley Steinfeld, and Jessica Sula respectively. The story is about these 3 girls who have been kidnapped by this guy, Kevin. And throughout the course of the film, they try to figure out how they can escape from him and also try to figure out why he has kept them in this underground den. They find out that Kevin has 23 different personalities, and they go by different names like Barry White and Hedonism Bob, and they learn about his backstory and his childhood abuse and stuff. Now, I watched this film for the first time yesterday, and I was absolutely amazed. It's a very well-made psychological thriller. The acting is superb, but there are some things in this film that troubled me. Now, I do not want to spoil anything for you guys, so I will be vague about it. But towards the end of the film, one of the girls gets pregnant. She's only 16 years old, and she's pregnant. And then after she miscarries, the film ends. And that troubled me because it seems to suggest that if you have multiple personalities, you're more likely to get pregnant. And it makes me wonder if M. Night Shyamalan is trying to link multiple personalities with sexual activity. And it's troubling, because it's a well-known fact that people with mental disorders like dissociative identity disorder, which is what Kevin has, they're more likely to be victims of sexual abuse rather than perpetrators of sexual abuse. And I did not like the message that the film was trying to put across. I am not an expert on multiple personality disorder. I don't know anyone who has it, but I read up on it, and according to the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, or DSM-5, dissociative identity disorder is a mental condition in which a person has 2 or more distinct identities or personality states. These identities or alters can have their own unique ways of thinking and behaving. A person with the disorder may experience gaps in memory and may feel like they have lost control over their actions. Dissociative identity disorder is usually associated with severe abuse or trauma in early childhood, so people who have this disorder are more likely to be victims of abuse and not perpetrators. In the film, Kevin's backstory is explained. His mother sexually abused him when he was young, and he developed 23 personalities as a defense mechanism to cope with the trauma. But here's the thing. According to research, most people who develop dissociative identity disorder do not have 23 personalities. It's very rare to have more than 10 personalities. Most people have between 2 and 5 personalities. Also, in real life, the transition between the different personalities is not as dramatic as it is portrayed in the film. In real life, it happens more gradually. People with dissociative identity disorder can also function normally in society. They can hold jobs and relationships. In fact, most of them do. Some of them even go to college. So it's not like they can't function at all. Of course, some of them can't function well, because it depends on the severity of their condition and also the amount of trauma they have experienced. In Split, Kevin's alter, Dennis, is portrayed as evil and manipulative and violent. Now, again, I don't want to spoil anything for you guys, but towards the end of the film, Dennis takes over Kevin's body and tries to kill the 3 girls. But again, it's important to remember that people with dissociative identity disorder are more likely to be victims of violence, rather than perpetrators of violence. There are many famous people who have dissociative identity disorder, but they're not violent. For example, there's a Swedish singer and songwriter named Marie Fredriksson. She had dissociative identity disorder, and she wrote songs. There's also a British actor named Anthony Hopkins. He has dissociative identity disorder, and he's acted in many famous films. In fact, he was nominated for an Academy Award for his portrayal of Hannibal Lecter in The Silence of the Lambs. But you will never know about this because he never told anyone about his condition. A lot of people with dissociative identity disorder choose not to reveal their diagnosis because they fear that they will be stigmatized. Now, I won't talk much about the plot, but I will discuss some of the issues that the film tried to raise. The film tried to raise the issue of whether human beings have free will. If we do, then why do bad things happen to us? In the film, Casey says, "I believe everything happens for a reason." And Claire says, "That's not true. Bad things happen because people make mistakes, and sometimes those people don't even realize that they've made a mistake. Like my parents. They never should have had kids." And I really like that scene because it shows that Claire believes in free will. She believes that everything that happens to her is because of her actions and her choices. It shows that she feels like she has control over her life, whereas Casey thinks that everything that happens to her is predestined. She doesn't feel like she has any control over her life. It's funny because in our culture, we often say everything happens for a reason, which means that everything that happens to us is part of God's plan. But really, I don't think that's true. Bad things happen because people make mistakes. Sometimes those people know that they're making a mistake and sometimes they don't. But ultimately, I believe that we have free will. We can choose to do good things and we can also choose to do bad things. One of the themes in Split is identity. Who are we? Are we the sum of our past experiences? Or do we have the ability to change and grow? Kevin has 23 different personalities, and each one is a different version of himself. There's Kevin, no one who is the nice guy. There's Hedonism Bob, who is the fun-loving party animal. There's Dennis, who is the charismatic leader, and there's also Barry White, who is the intellectual. Each one of these personalities represents a different part of Kevin. Now, I won't say much about the plot, but I will discuss some of the characters in Split. Kevin is a very interesting character. He is someone who has experienced a lot of pain and suffering, but he has found a way to cope with it. He has created 23 different personalities to protect himself from the world. Kevin is also someone who is very intelligent. He is able to keep the 3 girls in his house for a long time without them finding out what he is up to. He is also very creative. He uses his imagination to create elaborate stories and scenarios. The 3 girls are also very interesting characters. Casey is the strong and resourceful one, Claire is the smart and logical one, and Bendane is the naive and innocent one. Together, they form a very interesting dynamic. If you haven't seen Split, I highly recommend it. It's a very well-made film with great acting. The film raises some interesting questions about identity, free will, and morality. It's a film that will stay with you long after you watch it. If you enjoyed this review, please subscribe and like the video. Thank you for watching. Take care.